What's going on, YouTube? I'm K-Knight23, the video game professor, and today we're shooting stuff. There was a request for the implementation of missile weapons in some of our classic strategies, and that's what we're going to look at today. Missile weapons provide a great way to soften up your enemy before they reach your lines, weakening both their health as well as their morale. There are a few things we need to be aware of. Missile weapons come in two types: bow and black powder. Bow, whether it's a longbow or a crossbow, has a much greater firing arc than a black powder weapon, meaning bow weapons are able to arc over enemies and friends to strike their target, whereas black powder is going to shoot in a straight line. This is important for consideration when it comes time to position your units. Friendly fire is enabled. You can strike your own troops with both types of missile weapons. Shooting into combat can be very dangerous, no matter the situation, but shooting through your own front line with black powder is grounds for court-martial. Position your units so that you're firing into a mass of the enemy, from a flank or ideally the rear, where your enemy won't get any bonuses for having things like shields. If you must shoot through your lines, do so with bows, as they have a much better chance of flying over the heads of your troops instead of through them. I was asked on Reddit how to incorporate handgunners into an envelopment, and although it's a little more involved, it's completely doable. I start the strategy with a technique known as the center peel or fire and withdraw. Party Elite does a great job of reviewing this tactic on his channel, and you'll find a link in the description below. I start by placing my missile units in a checker formation to perform a center peel, in which units open fire and then stagger their withdrawal, while ranks behind perform suppressing fire to slow the advance of the enemy. As the Chaos Warriors close, I pull my left and right gunner wings to the far edge of the map, opening up the center for my swordman line to charge in. I widen the swordman formation to engage as many units as possible. As the two lines meet, the missile units wheel around to fire on the enemy's flanks. As I mentioned earlier, firing into combat hurts both sides, but getting a barrage on the rear of the enemy should give them the worst of it. With the leadership advantage that Chaos has, my swordsman would break much earlier than theirs, but the missile fire gives the swordsman a slight advantage. As the Chaos Warriors break on the right side, the swordsmen are free to start to envelop on that same side. Meanwhile, the missile units continue to hail down shot into the enemy. As broken units rejoin the fight, I turn the gunners to them to pepper them down and try to force another rout. When this fails, I disengage a unit of swordsmen and position them for a rear charge, which does the trick. This formation allows your units to spread around the map while maintaining enough cohesion to respond to these kinds of singular threats. Before long, Chaos is left with their general with little to do but charge down the eye of a barrel, and we all know how that story ends. Now, many of you are probably wondering what to do against cavalry, and that's a fair question. When anticipating cavalry, you need to protect your missile troops with something anti-large and preferably armor-piercing. I swap out some swordsmen for halberdiers and place them on the flanks of my handgun squads. I employ the same general tactic, except use the halberdiers to engage the cavalry that close in on the right wing. They're able to outrun my halberdiers, regroup, and swing around and take out a unit of handgunners and the halberdiers before I can eliminate them by wheeling my gunners around. In the end, it's a fair trade-off. Once the cavalry is gone, I position my gunners to do as much damage as possible. Notice how I tighten the ranks of the gunners on the right to focus fire directly into the rear of the Chaos Warriors. The longer your lines of gunners are, the wider their fire is going to be. The more focused, the more concentrated. In a few minutes, the outcome is decided and the close victory is achieved. Incorporating missile units into these classical strategies is a step into more complex maneuvers that will become necessary as you slowly introduce more and more diverse units into your strategies. But stick with it in practice. As you become more advanced, you'll see the tactics we've discussed begin to intertwine with one another. It's through the incorporation of multiple tactics within an overall strategy that will determine the outcome of a battle. A good general is dynamic on the field and responds appropriately to the ever-changing climate of the battlefield. Keep your head. Don't lose hope. If you prepare in advance, practice, and respond wisely, victory, no matter how close, will be yours. I'm K-Knight23, the video game professor, and if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more content. Let me know in the comments below what you'd like to see in the future. Take it easy, YouTube. I'm signing out.